Computer. There we go. Click this. So, good evening and welcome, everyone. As you know, I'm Dan Winter, fractalfield.com, FractalU.com. This is FractalU. There's Dan Mack waving, and Tufan is here. Jane is waving. It's going to be a party. It's fun. Hey, before we get started, Aircrete Harry, would you like to just show that little gizmo just for a second? It's such a cool thing. Unmute, Harry. Oops. Look at this, guys.
Let's try to get it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be an egg-shaped vortex optimized, and the idea is if the inside surface is smooth and coated with a high dielectric silver or gold, and then you have the high-speed flat impeller at the bottom. And then you have the piezoelectric super pure water, and Aircrete Harry is our pioneer for proving implosion. He's got the high speed ready to go. Cool, Harry. So Harry's going to share with us if he gets the blue flash.
Yes, and gravity. So the intention is after I assemble the entire setup, because you know that spindle is really heavy.
Yeah.
I'm going to have everything on top of a scale just to also test the whole gravity portion of the experiment. So that'll be pretty exciting. And obviously, you'll be the first group of people I share this with.
This is the real implosion, and Aircrete Harry is the guy to do it. He built stuff. It's so cool. And so you remember the principle. You have super pure water that can be charged, and then the water is piezo with some very fine rock powder. And so now you got a piezo vortex. Then you got a flat, high-speed, non-fractionated impeller at the bottom, and the inner surface is either silver or gold. And you get fun and magic. So thank you, Aircrete. We're going to have fun with that. So
thank you for sharing that with the world so that we can begin replicating these experiments.
Yeah, let's become a shareable wave. What else is fun? Everything else is boring. Absolutely. So tonight we're having a wonderful presentation from Jenefer, Dr. Jenefer Markey, who is going to be talking to us about leading the Lucid Dream Team.com and her work with our Lucid Dream group. And Jenny has an amazing background with training with Aboriginal peoples and university projects, and for many years in Findhorn and Australia. Amazing background. So we have an exciting presentation lined up. Jenny has lined up some pictures for us, etc. And we're going to have a little intro to the science on that also. But before we do, Tufan, were there some introductions, announcements?
Yes. Next week, we are going to meet with Médéric Degoy in our lecture, and his website are elfi.link, biocoherence.net. He's our friend from South France. And other than that, our piezofire.com project is going great, and our conference program for South France is going great. We are still continuing our subscriptions, and these are it from my side.
Thank you, Tufan. That's great. Yes, so our international conference, September 19, fractalfield.com/2024. We have about 30 of the 40 rooms already taken. And we're very excited that Bridget Nielsen and some other VIPs have already agreed to come. And by the way, Dr. Susan, who's with us tonight too. It's all good. So if you're interested in a wonderful party in South France in September, let us know soon. And then the other announcement was that the piezofire.com, victims of our own success, that we're still getting more orders so fast that we're still on the order of 3 weeks or so, but we're improving, we're catching up. But it's amazing the interest we've had. I don't know, 15, 20 in the last week. It's amazing, because as Dan Mack just told us, he's been using it again on his foot. And what did you say about that, Dan?
Well, I have hammer toes, and it's a genetic thing, right? And I used to just do magnesium chloride baths and stuff, right? And it's because I have to do a lot of driving, and my right foot is the gas pedal foot, so it's bent out of it. That's just how it is. And I take I use not the coil, I use the piezo disc, not the Tesla coil. And I attach attach it to my upper calf over the tendon that goes down to those toes over around my ankle, and then put the other disc in my slipper, and then put my foot on top of that, and then run uh, uh, the
Full chakra cascade or
well, yeah, well, it's a cascade. It's the cascade, but it's for the foot area, right?
I
And I
see.
just run that, and nowadays, I mean, the problem I had before was I had the one disc on the bottom of the sole of my foot and the other disc on top of my toe area, right? So it's like, and that was very uncomfortable. It worked really well, but it was too close. So now that I've spread it out, it takes the cramping and just the soreness and everything, it just takes it away. And I'm doing it every day. Well, mostly every day. Only when I at work, I manage 17 buildings and we house homeless people. So I manage the physicality of the building. So I spend a lot of my day going to different buildings and working with vendors and checking on stuff, right? So it's the driving part, because my foot is tipped over to push on the gas, and that puts tension on that tendon, and my foot cramps up. And by using the piezo fire, it just takes it right away. And if some days I can go for like 2 days, maybe 3 days, depending on my driving, and it just works.
That's
Also,
wonderful.
I do a ace bandage and then do the piezo, the pineal gland, and I do that not every day, but every other day or every 3 days, and before a meditation. And I've been getting the Gurdjieff aura photography,
Really?
and I have just seen just phenomenal results. I mean, it also happens with the Therify, but this is just the piezo disc, and I have to use an ace bandage because I tried headphones, and they don't really, it doesn't keep it right. I have to wrap it like
Yeah,
a
it wants
turk.
to be really in touch with the skin, I think.
Yeah, and I think Aircrete Harry or someone who was suggesting those sticky pads. Well, I'm a pretty hairy guy, and especially up here, maybe not here, but on the sides, I got, and
That's great, Dan. So really, thank you. So what we're learning is not only for pain reduction and, as he said, the decramping, but also triggering the pineal. Really, it fires the light. It's all about compression of charge, where the charge can get centripetal enough to get dense, which is perfect because that is the intro to the intro to the intro to tonight's conversation. So as I discussed with Jenny earlier, so Jenny's going to talk to us about the skill and practicality of leading a lucid dream team, and her experience also with the Aboriginals, who she has a lifetime of experience with Aboriginal shaman wisdom, who obviously are working with lucid dreaming. And the little intro that I'm planning right now is the title of this intro is The Physics of Dreaming versus the Physics of Lucid Dreaming. And what I want to emphasize here is that we believe that we don't have to approach the question of what dreaming is from the perspective of a psychologist or a philosopher, which is useful and valid, but actually talk about what dreaming is as an electrical engineer, which gives us a whole higher level of leverage to understand what's happening. So we know, for example, that as Freud or Jung would have said, that the dreaming helps you process your day. So, for example, it's well known that if you can lie in bed at night and process your day play your day backwards like a movie, and if you can watch that movie without interrupting it, it means that you've emotionally digested your day. What does that mean? It means you've taken the experiences through compression in such a way that now all of those memories have been sorted into pure principle, the pure principle being that which then serves essence. It's not the wound, it's not the injury, it's not the trauma, it's the principle behind it that can serve collective survival that is, the eureka, the pure principle of whatever happened in your day. Once it's been digested, that principle then means that memory can be compressed, which means literally that memory is now ready to go through death. And we would like to understand exactly what that means electrically. Remember, what we've been saying for years is that the ability to lucid dream predicts those who will take memory through death, because consciousness is a liquid crystal plasma vortex inside the synaptic array of your optical cortex. So inside your head, as it were. So as we say, you inhabit an array now. It's called the synapses, the net of fireflies, Indra's net, inside your head. And when you lucid dream and when you die, you develop the skill to with an identical principle to inhabit a larger array. And that larger array, we now actually know what it is. It's the coherent compression nodes of the longitudinal array of the sacred sites of the magnetic lines of the earth, which the Aboriginals, Jenny will talk about, call dreaming track songline. So the physics, and I do mean the physics of how you inhabit that larger array, the longitudinal nodes. Remember, the longitudinal nodes grow in strength at sunrise and sunset. They weaken in strength at eclipse, okay? They grow in strength inside a pyramid. They grow in strength at the magnetic cross points of the earth grid, Dodeki, Kosa, the sacred earth grid. So those magnetic nodes that are pumped at the certain times, sunrise, sunset, or solstice, equinox, those are moments when the longitudinal array is stronger, and it's easier to then navigate inside or inhabit that array. So what is the summary here of the difference between the physics of a dream and the physics of a lucid dream? It's a very, very specific answer to that question. We're saying that the dream, that you're playing with a hologram inside your head. We talk about the holographic brain, Carl Prabram, and so you're propagating a kind of hologram in the optical cortex, and it functions as a hologram. It's, they're taking this more than metaphor, quite a literal physics, that it is literally a hologram in the optical cortex. Well, that's cool. But now what would happen if that hologram got dense? And now I want to point out something that in the university literature research, and we published this on the Lucid Dreaming site, luciddreamteam.com, and also in the Lucid Dream blog at therify.net, where using Therify plasma, we have documented with multiple reports, we're able to help trigger lucid dreaming. And we are proud to announce and report that the harmonics that are now known in university research, the frequencies around 47 and 30 hertz, a certain cascade of frequencies that very closely approximates PlanckFire.com, the Planck golden ratio fractal frequencies. So the cascade of harmonics on the plasma vortex tornado inside your head, the harmonics act like musical fingers that enable you to get a grip around a vortex of plasma, just like the vortex of water that Aircrete Harry is working with. So the fingers that allow that vortex to be squeezed to the point of compression are known Planck times golden ratio exponents, called PlanckFire.com. Those are the frequencies that identify the vortex in your brain waves, the vortex in your sacrocranial pump, the physics of Kundalini, the vortex in the audio frequencies heard by meditators, the vortex in the implosion sound that we use to drive, Therify, and Flame in Mind, and even that same vortex as it exists inside hydrogen. So actually, there's only one vortex that actually works to do the squeezing, whether it's small or big, and that vortex is the harmonic tensors of Planck times golden ratio. So the summary is that when you're able to access the Schumann cascade, which is the alpha to gamma harmonics that allow your brainwaves to implode, and identify when children are able to see without their eyes, also identifying when children begin to develop the clairvoyance and see their ancestors, also identifying the moment when lucid dreaming gains leverage. What that means is that implosion of harmonic cascades squirts out the squirt gun at exactly the Planck threshold, which it's tuned to, and from the Planck threshold radiates coherence in the longitudinal array, incorrectly called scalar or torsional, and enables you to coherently inhabit a bigger array. And that's the only physics of action at a distance, and the only real physics of lucid dreaming, and the only real physics of how you can take your consciousness out of your body when you lucid dream and when you die, because in both cases, your consciousness is that vortex. So now the development of the inner muscles to do that squeezing, which one way to measure it is the alpha to gamma cascade, literally the Schumann harmonics in the brainwaves, but also what creates that coherence and that compression, and therefore the densification of the aura, and therefore the beginning of having a soul. So there's also the eureka experience, the bliss experience, the peak emotions that also serve that implosive densification. What sometimes some people call that going to the next dimension, but we use a much more specific language. We say, then the number of harmonics superposed, literally harmonic inclusiveness, which is the number of dimensions you live in, which is density, literally electrical density, that gives you leverage on the larger array. So the difference between a dream and a lucid dream is literally that implosive squeezing, that getting dense. So that was my little, I stuck my 2 cents in. I probably carried on too much. But thank you for being patient. So now I'm introducing Dr. Jenny Markey. Jenefer is our guest lecturer for this evening and has prepared a slideshow. Thank you for being here, Jenny. Go ahead, please.
Oh, thanks, Dan. That really got us in the mood there. Building the charge. Thank you. And thanks for inviting me again. You know, it's been a whole year since the last, since we first started this adventure, particularly. But and I've been listening to you for over 30 years. So, and it's still, I still soak it in, you know, soak it in.
I'm not that old, I didn't think, but anyway. Go
Oh, we are getting older.
ABN.
Yes. So yes. Hi everyone. Very happy to be here again. I'm going to go start sharing the screen straight away because we've got quite a bit to quite a bit to get through. Now, what I thought I'd do was certainly to look at, hold on a second, I'm trying to find the slideshow. We're going to have a bit of background because any new people coming in from that didn't see last year's.
Yeah, we're seeing your slides fine. We can see them.
Yes.
It's good.
Yes, but I want the main one. I want the actual slideshow itself.
Well, if you click that button on the bottom right to the right there. To the right of comments. There's
no,
not there.
not.
One more there, that one.
Okay.
That one. That should do it. Yep, there it did.
Thank you very much. So welcome everyone. What we're going to do is a short run through. Well, basically this is in 3 parts. So we'll do a short run through of the history, and this is a slightly different history than the one that Dan has just been describing. Then we'll do some updates as to what it actually means, the mechanics of lucid dreaming, and then we'll move into the practice, followed by questions. So if you can hold questions and obviously put them on the chat, and Tufan will be able to assist us with those a bit later. And also, Dan, you know, if you feel to come in, then please do. Right, I'm now trying to get us out the way so that I can actually read. Oh, there we are. Okay, so this is the broad story of lucid dreaming, because we're all descended from dreaming peoples. Every civilization has cosmologies of their ancestors who came from the stars and dreamed new cultures into being. Wait a minute, I'm just trying to find myself. Since the dawn of human time on this planet, lucid dreaming has been an essential part of healthy, functioning individuals and societies. And those societies rely on dreamers who can see beyond the limitations of physical reality, hear the collective wisdom of the ancestors, and translate that knowledge in daily life. Those who can hold and tell the stories, sing the songs and dance the dances that bring the dreaming of living on this earth to life are the generators of culture.
That's beautiful, beautiful. So well said.
So I can know where I'm going. So this, oh, yes. So this is a bit of a disclaimer because the type of lucid dreaming generally described as a hypnagogic state is just the beginning of a journey to awaken yourself while both sleeping and daydreaming as well. It's what I call the superconscious state, whereby you are utilizing far more than the typical 4% of your brain, where your natural latent capacities emerge, and your dreaming becomes your life. And that's the type of dreaming, lucid dreaming, described in this presentation, because I'm very fortunate to have been educated and certainly well practiced with the Aboriginal aunties.
I love that, Aboriginal aunties.
Yes. So Imagineering, in the ancient past, lucid dreamers were those who were able to access past, present, future knowledge, although we know it's all in the present, through their night and day dreaming. They recorded information on the local seasons, the lunar and solar cycles, when to sow and harvest crops, hunting seasons and migration tracks, times of catastrophe and lack, and times of increase and bounty. They remember the times of eclipse, lunar standstill, and the long count of the precessional cycles, recording them in the stonescapes of chambers and henges and in petroglyphs and other rock art.
Beautiful.
And this is Callanish in Scotland, a major astronomical observatory.
And clearly a longitudinal node.
Yes, definitely. Yes, and surrounded by sites within a 5-kilometer radius. So it's an extended site. Wait a second. So my ancestors of Ireland and Scotland dreamed the extensive megalithic sites that connected them to the cosmos through lunar, solar, and galactic cycles. The sophisticated sacred geometry and mathematical calculations used in both the construction of the monuments and the recorded information reveal minds attuned to the measured rhythms of the cosmic matrix. The common myth of primitive Neolithic tribal societies is obviously incorrect. They possess many skills and capacities that modern society has lost, including the lucid dreaming. So other examples of dreaming cosmologies include the Slavonic Aryan knowledge, recording the 9 worlds of Norse mythology, wrapped in Yggdrasil, the sacred world tree. The realms are connected by the Bifrost, which we know as star lanes, and the roots are portals, wells that connect to other locations out in the cosmic matrix. In Vedic Hindu cosmology, records multiple worlds suspended in the causal medium of the great ocean amongst countless other universes.
Beautiful.
Now, this is my adoptive home country, and Dan's as well, and Valerie's. These are the First Nation peoples of Australia, who are custodians of the lands, waters, and skies there of Narrabul Gidabal country. This is at the most easterly point of Australia, where the rising sun infuses Wallumbini, the peak that you can see in the background, the remnant peak of a 20 million year ancient supervolcanic caldera, charging the dreaming tracks across the longest stretch of songlines in the country. And at this point, I wish to pay our respects to the senior law women of the Narrabul Gidabal clans, whose sovereignty has never been ceded.
Often a supervolcano will have the residue of the powerful trace mineral that makes the land more fractal and more magnetic, as, for example, the Sacred Rose fractality of Prague. So the supervolcanic caldera is a great start for something very magical.
Yes, and as you can see, there's the very fractal nature. So in the foreground down there is the Julian Rocks, where Auntie Lorraine came to rest with her soul.
Oh, yes, and where the storm went across the continent when she died.
That's it, yes,
Oh,
across the
wow.
dreaming tracks.
My
Behind
hair
that
is-
is the three pyramids. You can't see the third one, very much set on Giza, the 60-degree pyramid complex at Giza. And behind that is the actual caldera Wallumbini itself. So very fractal landscape.
Oh, yeah.
So these are the original lucid dreamers.
Dreaming tracks. Wow.
So that's a very short and rapid history. So we'll go into part two, which is how the cosmic matrix, how the unified field communicates with us and within us, as we know as lucid dreamers, and as we've just seen in the history. Let's look at some of the mechanics, and please come in, Dan, if you wish to as well. So our mythologies ground our genetic memory through this planet, solar system and galaxy, and that's nested within the larger star-seeding cosmologies. They record how we are connected to multiple realms and worlds, orienting us in the present mythscape. Now, let's consider some of the mechanics of how we dream in the unified field. The Hermetic maxims of know thyself and that which is above is like to that which is below. Describe the connections at microcosmic and macrocosmic levels of human function. So here we're going to bring in Dan, and perhaps you can say a bit about this as well. Dan, clarifying, because we're looking at what the qualities of the universal energy, and I've put in what we know as ether, plasma, or you call charge, Dan. So these qualities are compressible, behave like a fluid, it stores inertia when it rotates, and in certain geometries, fractal, conjugate, etc., it appears to self-organize and become intelligent and alive. Would you like to add to that, Dan?
You did so well. I'm retiring here, Jenny.
Are you?
But I just wanted to say that the as above, so below is how we sort of started when I rewrote the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the fractality of the heavens. And so the compression of the star geometries that then compress themselves in the Earth grid geometry and then compress themselves inside the magnetic flux inside our brain, that fractality enables the compression, which gives us leverage on the field around us. So you can measure how psychoactive you are in the dreaming or as a witch, literally by how, compressible your field is. As they say, the mind meld with the Orion Queen felt like a vice-like grip around your head because you became the center of a very centripetal tornado. And that's really the trigger for when the dream is lucid.
1 minute. Oh, why is that not happening? Okay. So in a macrocosmic sense, what we're doing is tracking from the very large stories, the cosmological stories, and now we're bringing it down, and through a part of that, the medium of what we might call plasma or charge, is recorded through the original dreamers in Australia, who recorded the passage of plasma superstorms, which are sentient plasmoid ancestor beings, and other phenomena in their petroglyphs and rock art. Our ancestors recorded images of external phenomena and events, and they also laid down images in our consciousness in order to navigate the evolution of our human bodies. Now, that might seem a complicated concept, but it's as if they were, by recording the events and images themselves, they were actually putting it into their own consciousness, which then obviously descends through each of the generations. Maybe.
It reminds me of John McGovern, Jenny, and both our friend, who believed that he could interpret any cave art painting by learning plasma physics, and the plasma beings became self-aware, and they painted them. Yes, this slide exactly. Tony.
Yes, absolutely perfect timing. So
yes.
The Wandjina ancestors on the left, and you can see that quite clearly painting the plasma crown formations after Tony Peratt.
Tony Peratt of Los Alamos Plasma Research. You know, plasma physics equals ancestral shaman drawings, because that was their mind, that was their vision. They saw the light.
Mm-hmm. And these plasmoids are recorded all throughout the world, in many indigenous, or those who are still have petroglyphs and rock art.
Beautiful.
Including the Celts. So you can see the plasmoid on the right hand side, and obviously the rock art of it, called the Squatting Man petroglyphs, and the material culture of numerous First Nations societies globally hold the records of that. So this is principally for the reference, but also to look at the shapes, because this is the recorded currents and in the torus and the plasmoid. So I've got references a bit later you can look at.
They said how high that the dots were around the waist allowed you to tell at what latitude, longitude the shaman was looking at the plasma from.
That's interesting. Yes, fascinating. So let's bring it right down into the human body now. So the microcosm, connecting the electrical human self to the cosmos. So on the left is a dissection of the nervous system of the human body. And you can see the intimations of, or the dendritic style nerve bundles and fibers, looking very much like a tree. On the right hand side is Alex Gray with his very famous painting of spiritual energy system, and the torus that emerges from a lucid dreaming body. So we'll very briefly go into Heinrich the Kluver constants, because there's something about the records within the consciousness, and as Dan was saying, within the visual system of the human. These are visual phenomena seen behind closed eyes in a sequence during altered states of consciousness, including going into lucid dreaming, however less so, more in when we are using altered states and entheogenic plant forms to assist us. So he called these the form constants, and they consist of lattices, cobwebs, tunnels, and spirals. And these form constants are markers in human neurobiological makeup. They're literally hardwired into our brains, that both lead us through each successive stage of altered consciousness, enabling path integration on our dreaming journeys, like a trail of breadcrumbs through a deep, dark forest, and so that we can return safely. Universal symbolism evolved from these visual phenomena witnessed in the dreaming or recorded from physical events. And I would argue that iconographic and symbolic art acts as mnemonic technology, which is like a memory type of technology hardwired into the brain to reflect and trigger the remembrance of past events, as recorded on petroglyphs particularly.
We thought Heinrich Kluver, he was recording the experiences of near-death experiences also, and that lattice cobweb tunnel spiral were literally superposed axes of spin, one upon the other, what your DNA had to do to get compression going to die well or to lucid dream.
Mm-hmm. So petroglyphs and other rock art of our dreaming ancestors also record natural processes of our physical and energetic interconnections with the universal field. So on the left is the Triskelion. On the right is a diagram of a protein, the protein clathrin. Now these are different variations of the Triskelion through history, recorded in rock art, particularly in Celtic lands. Now, sorry about the image on the top. This gives a very brief introduction. Clathrins are proteins that enable the transportation and delivery of information into the cells of the body. While current debate rages about microtubules and consciousness, our ancestors had already dreamed about and recorded the mechanics of interconnectivity at the cellular interface.
Beautiful. And the clathrate cage in water, for example, or even fullerenes, is always that stellated dodecacosa imploding.
Yes, and I think that, yes, the point here is that by them going into dreaming lucidly and then bringing it back out and obviously recording it for us, when we come upon it, whether we, it's analytical or the analogical brain, it takes us back into ourselves. So it's a type of inner remembering, is it not?
Beautiful.
So I hypothesize that because the more that we're understanding, the more that we're understanding about toroidal fields, and we're seeing them everywhere. This is also symbols that are part of the neurobiology of humankind, and of the torus and the toroidal fields. And as we cross the Planck threshold and remember who we are in the wider array, it's literally, these are the symbols and the iconography, the form constants that we need that are leading us out into the wider array.
So we implode through the Planck threshold, where presumably the transverse EMF becomes longitudinal and therefore able to propagate efficiently into the array. So the Planck threshold is kind of a doorway in this sense.
Definitely a doorway, yes. So that's a brief tour of the mechanics. We'll now get on to part 3, which is what does it mean practically speaking to be a shareable wave as a lucid dreamer? And we're getting more into the practice of the dreaming groups that we've been a part of. And this wonderful Walter Russell quote. So I put out a tentative definition, but I'm open to discussing that. So lucid dreamers are those who are able to tap into and transduce the knowledge of the universal field, stepping down those forces to energies that are recognizable within human perception and that are in phase with the natural dreaming stories of the planetary being. And finally, lucid dreamers tell those stories through culture, the arts and sciences, literally perpetuating life.
I love the in phase part of that story. In phase is the name of what's happening to become part of a longitudinal array, and in phase is the name of what's happening when you have access to ground, literally Schumann harmonics and earth and fractality. So in phase is everything because that locks you, embeds you into the array. It's a good term there.
So what does it mean? How do we become lucid dreamers? So different subsections here. So we'll talk about generally about gathering and generating and holding charge, because as we need to, if you like, toughen up our bodies and energetically and physically as well, the nervous systems, in order to be able to hold more charge, what do we do in order to help with that on a daily basis? Now, obviously, Dan teaches a whole, what would we even call it? A lifestyle of being outside, being in natural places, living a healthy lifestyle, including thoughts, integrity. I've got all sorts of wonderful things here. Hang on a sec. I'm just going to. So learning to be shareable waves is a development of qualities, skills, gifts, and talents. And as you can see, there are quite a few. The will and courage to see and dream, because once you look inside and open your eyes, both inner and outer, there really is no going back from that. The only way is onwards. The ability to focus and hold attention. This is obviously part of the physics as well as the natural biological fitness training that we're doing. The ability to generate, gather, and hold charge. So being generators of charge and not parasitic. Freeing ourselves from fear programs and patterns, because we all have a lot of patterns. And being able to be willing to move through those, even to recognize them and release them if necessary. Developing intentionality, integrity, good energetic hygiene, and self-responsibility are but a few of those. Being willing to suspend beliefs about what is real and unreal, because everything that you may think that you know about lucid dreaming and what I call true dreaming is when which is when we start creating the dreaming ourselves. We need to suspend belief. Balance, coherence, centeredness, groundedness, which is all once again part of self-management, and gaining self-understanding, compassion for self and collectively. Lots of qualities, big list there. And if that wasn't enough, we've also got mindful, cooperative, interdependent, being prepared to be vulnerable, permeable, and open to others, and practicing what we practice, preparing to become ultimately shareable in the wider array in every aspect of our lives.
So when we say shareable, what we mean is a wave that can propagate because it's so well in phase that there's no resistance. Fear is the mind killer because it is resistance. I also love Jenny's yearning is the wave guide. Yearning is also in some way how the tornado is ultimately steered, and why we might admire people like Jenny, because you got a group that's lucid dreaming together. So now you've got a collective tornado. And how is that steered? Gurdjieff said, charge the battery of yearning, even though the Buddha said, eliminate desire.
Eliminate, yes, good one. So this is it in pictorial form. Well, first of all, we hold the intention. We find the intention in our dreaming. We go into dream time, as in sleep dreaming time, with the question, what do we want to see? We ask questions, and then we sit. When we get the answers, we sit up, write them in journals. We meditate on it. We use a good time of the night is between 2 and 3 a.m. when there is the peak of melatonin, to actually go into the lucid dream itself. So then it becomes an action, and a practice, and then a consistency, a habit, if you like, and then it simply becomes who we are, which is what the aspect of lucid dreaming that I'm talking about, and that we are dedicatedly focused on.
I had heard that 2 to 3 a.m. might also be when there's least noise in the astral or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And we also we synchronize daily at sunset, or sunrise for some and sunset for others. Various natural times when it's easier to slip into a lucid dream.
And sunrise and sunset are specifically when the longitudinal array is accessible, when the birds sing and when Agnihotra works. That's the longitudinal moment. Perfect.
So all of this is, I'll say, mainstream. There's also the sense with Dan leading us to the threshold, and very elegantly handing us over into the wider array, that we're dreaming of the torus, and we're dreaming of toroidal fields. We've got people like Buddy James, who are actually mapping now. So to be able to navigate these wider arrays, it takes courage, and amazingly, we find that one matrix is nested within the other, and I guess it goes on, infinitum, as we'll continue to explore. So navigating the plasma field, we are spatial beings. Effective navigation in wider fields requires us to build up a cognitive map of what we are engaging in, as in putting out, setting our intention, who we are engaging with, being very clear that we don't now engage with the astral realms and astral beings. We don't need to do that. The mechanics of voyaging, and most importantly, how to self-reference well enough to return to our physical bodies intact in mind, body, and soul, which we call path navigation. So do you want to talk about the toroids? Maybe this is one of Tufan's amazing
Yes.
diagrams.
Yes. And we say embeddability, and the ability to embed means that then that's what enables the shaman to steer the tornado in the first place. He's identified the pain of the tornado, embedded in that by literally feeling compassion. The heart turns inside out, becomes centripetal, and then the bioplasmic streamers of the shaman suddenly are in the center of that tornado, and it's literally the tornado falls in love with who falls in love with whom. It's literally about embedding.
And of course, it can be both at an individual level and a group level, as we are doing. Which is being shareable enough and coherent enough to create a collective tornado in which we do, within which we journey and without which we journey as well.
So they say the lucid dream group would first begin by crying for each other's joy and pain and embedding each other, and then.
Yes, it's certainly it's very intimate in that way. Hold on a second. I'm trying to find my. Oh, where's my cursor? So this is actually in Byron Bay, in the lands, waters, and skies that I showed you. And this to me is indicative what it means to actually surf the wave, because as a group we sync and set our intention very clearly, and then we're literally like surfers waiting for the wave to come through. And obviously that wave we feel the Schumann resonance. The longitudinal wave is the very long wave. It is very much like surfing in the ocean, and it is the cosmic ocean. I'm just going to play this again because I love it so much. See the dolphins there, and that I don't know if anyone else can feel it, but it gets me every time. It's like I'm up and surfing.
Uncle Joe said, "Ride the long wave, Uncle Joe." Surfers of the Savuya.
And it really does feel like that. So what I was speaking about, path integration. So in order to be able to come back, in order to go out, I mean, I would say many people are able to get out into the wider array. It's whether or not how you navigate and to be able to return on the same path, so that you are not subjecting yourself to either any kind of astral parasites, Klingons, gremlins, whatever you want to call them, hungry ghosts. And a part of that is developing the fitness to be able to see what's going on inside your own head and your own body, as well as being able to navigate externally. So this is a part of what we practice every week, is navigation skills.
Part of why non-destructive self-reentry by some is a definition of consciousness, the ability to implode within and therefore gain leverage.
Yes, gaining leverage. So what works, what we found in the last year of great adventures that we've been having, there are certain principles, the basics. Well, one is providing our biology with a reason to evolve. Now, that sounds very simple. However, we are brought up in a society whereby, you know, you work all day and you come home and you just zone out, and then you go to bed and you zone out again. So actually, the physical practice of letting your body and brain and consciousness know that actually you need to evolve. That's the tricky one. Now, sadly and interestingly, obviously with the recent COVID pandemic, that provided us, I feel, with our biology, our bodies, with a reason to evolve. It was like a trigger. Do you want to say anything more on that, Dan?
Well, that's giving us Because once we understand that the coherence we develop with the skill of lucid dreaming is specifically predicting who is going to take memory through death, leading beautifully to Jenny's next point, study the mechanics of ensoulment. And I am big on that, that actually that compression event, whether it's glands or in the DNA, that implosion spits out the coherent longitudinal stuff, the Ba from the Ka, the Kejan light body. And that literally is going to be whether our kids have a soul, whether they get access to bliss experience. So understanding this in the context of mechanics of ensoulment, that is the heart of the matter, as our species on this planet is apparently rapidly losing ensoulment because our scientists don't know what that is.
Yeah. And particularly with the increase in technology and electrosmog and interference.
Exactly.
That's a whole other topic, is it not?
Exactly.
So we hone our focus on pure principle. Now, I say it in the sense of biophysical, which is bringing our attention both to internally to our heart space, and as a part of that heart resonance, and also has to be connected with the intention of the, let's call it the consciousness, the third eye, the internal mechanics of what it means to focus your attention. And part of that is the pure principle of our integrity.
When we talked about distilling the memories of your day, it's exactly distilling it into pure principle, and that wave can live forever.
Yes. Now, also courage. I need to say about courage, that to be prepared to prevail. So part of that, providing the biology, is having increasing our determination to evolve, to be able to dream, obviously lucidly, and then to true dream, as in to become your own dream, to own your dream, and then to also bring that outside of yourself. So this is what, as Dan was saying, this is what we are doing for humanity, which is now we are all needing to dream the next level of dreaming for humanity. Big task, no pressure. However, it does take courage. Now, part of one of the other things that works is that we need to be able to respond. I'm talking about in the soul pod, respond to the responsibility for the whole pod. So that's not, it's on a daily basis. We're in contact. As I said, we synchronize daily and practice that coherence, getting to know each other, being prepared to support when one person is wobbly or extremely busy with external reality, whatever it is. It's to responsibility is what, to the ability to respond and to be prepared to become more shareable, because it is often very vulnerable, often confronting, and to be able to trust the others, your fellow pod members, that they're going to be there for you and have your back.
It's like also imagining what it would be to have a life in which you do not need secrets. We're evolving in a civilization where everything is about secrets, and yet immortality is precisely the life in which no secrets are possible. Ooh.
Yes. And we're not talking about telepathy. This is about discernment, because telepathic. I find that we are all becoming more sensitive to be able to feel other people's feelings. And there's also, we're starting to have the intimation that the next planetary grid is actually that between human hearts. It's not necessarily as what we call sacral sites where charge and intention has been gathered. It's also between us, and I do believe that we are at the forefront of the new science of consciousness, literally. So we're also doing it naturally, no enhancements. It's up to pod members about whether what means that they're using. However, when we come together, it is purely on our own natural abilities that are and should be second nature to us, should they not be. Okay, so this is just one of those cautionary. I won't read it all. I mean, Dan is particularly clear about what we might call astral hygiene, and especially when after we've been journeying together, we always come, when we return, we clear ground, check each other out, dust each other off, and make sure that we are clear in this way. So obviously things like smartphones and mobile phone signals, Wi-Fi, are not just distracting, but they're also producing that electrosmog. Now, really, the last question, and I'm not going to go into it too deeply, but this slide is this slide is to show the many different ways of actually communicating and how we communicate as human beings, including how we speak, how we present our space, how we touch each other, chronemics, I mean, how we use our time, how we draw attention to ourselves, you name it. I'm sure there are many different senses, there are many different ways of communicating. And for me, this presentation tonight has been a part of that, which is trying to show the nesting. It definitely is that we as individuals nested within the pod, for me personally, nested within collective families and community, and so it goes out with the Russian doll nesting, does it not?
Nice.
So learning to question our dreaming selves, that's the first step, and then to be able to communicate those responses, that is also a vital part of the process, because it stimulates our bodies to transform and evolve into what I call dream weavers, where our dreams themselves become self-aware. So we are literally dreaming ourselves awake. So, I think that's it. What a bit of a whirlwind journey. And thank you, deep gratitude to all of our ancestors and those who've surfed the waves before us, and to the veterans and Soul Pod 1 and 2 who voyage with me into infinity and beyond. Deep, deep gratitude. And to Dan Winter, who brings us so elegantly to the threshold. Thank you, Dan.
Well,
gratitude.
Well, Jenny, I have a question for you, actually. It might even be somewhere in the range of envy. See, when we have a kind of a group meditation going, group dreaming, call it whatever you like, but some people have the skill to be able to feel and see where the group is going. And I don't think I have much of that skill, actually. I wonder if Jenny could say even a little bit about what it is to be able to sense where a group is going collectively during a dream or a meditation, or
good.
How to feel that.
Oh, yes, good pithy question there. Can we just hold that for 2 seconds?
Oh, sure.
Because mostly because I just want to come out of the slideshow and so I can see everyone's faces. So we finally an onboarding course for those interested in dreaming and voyaging with us, or those who are content to be what we call ground crew with a general interest and want to support in that way. And heartfelt thanks to those who came on board last year and have been patiently waiting and holding the space for the group to emerge. So that there is an invite link, worldwidewave.earth, and
oh, that's great. So we should add that to the sites here, worldwidewave.earth. That's a way of coming in. Is that right then, Jenny? Great.
It is, and it's just the front page at the moment, but you can subscribe and leave your emails. And
wonderful. We'll add the link. Perfect.
Well, yes, we'll get you into we have a Telegram group, and we'll take it from there. And
Well-
and as the last slide is some great books. But once again, instead of having to scribble them all down, you can see that we can see this slideshow again, can we not?
Yes, so we're going to share this,
YouTube.
if that's okay. Yes, we'll share it. Next to the
Okay.
link for the film for tonight, we'll put this link for the slideshow, if that's okay, Jenny. Good.
Yes, that's perfectly fine. And there is a PDF, and you can also get a transcription from YouTube, can you not?
Yes, exactly.
So-
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Yes. So thanks everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't see your faces, and I'm looking now and I'm seeing pod 1 and 2, like, oh yes, all your lovely faces. Thank you everyone. And for those who want more information, please get in touch with us. So yeah, to answer your question, and we'll also look at other questions, shall we, as well?
Jen, Jane Hera asks if you can say a little more about the role of ground crew.
The role of ground crew. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit. I'll try and answer Dan's question as well. What it means to what I call it. I call myself a navigator. I'm very fortunate that my boot camp occurred with 3 amazing Aboriginal aunties who adopted us, and this is the tribe that Dan and Valerie are also adopted into. Now, my awakening was very, very practical in that during my training, well, Auntie Lorraine took me on as her apprentice and taught me. And what they would do, quite literally, how I came awake, is that they would walk into my dreams. This is how I came awake in my dreaming lucidly. So I had a steep learning curve in that they would come into my dream and I'd just be dreaming, maybe even not even noticing that I was. But the very act of them coming in and me going, that it gave my biology the jolt, the shock, if you like. So they would walk into my dreams and say, come on, girlie, and then it would be a nighttime of teaching those geomancy, custodianship, what it means to be a part of the planetary grid. So I've been very fortunate. Now I'm, so from my navigator skills are definitely a part of that, which is that I had the fast track to being woken up into my own lucid dreaming. I also come from a very psycho-creative cultures, the Celtic culture, both Scots and Irish ancestry, who are very connected to the cosmologies of the star lanes and traveling as well. So how I navigate, very, very difficult one to answer. Because it's both an inner seeing and an outer seeing, and then also seeing for everybody else. So it's an amalgamation of forces, energy, training, bloodlines, and that's about as much as I can say, Dan. Is that an answer?
Well, God, you're beautiful, Jenny. This has been just so much more amazing than I even expected, Jenny. Good work.
Right. So thank you. Jane Hera, what it means to be a ground crew. Well, you can have a general interest in lucid dreaming itself. You may not feel that you want to journey, or you may not feel that you are what we call sky crew, as in those who are regularly practicing, pushing the boundaries of our human self-understanding, and bringing that knowledge back as in serious research. We do serious research on the edge of the science of consciousness in much the same way as, John Lilly and the psychotropic pioneers, as I call them getting out there. We are doing exactly the same thing. Dan's physics literally is the focus that brings us to the threshold over which we can then move out into expand into the wider array. So this is serious work. If you wish to have, well, if you have a general interest, we're not so much into dream interpretation. We're actually living our dream more than interpreting them. You can help out in whatever way you want, or just do the reading. So hopefully the onboarding course will be putting a lot of literature in. And one of the other things, make sure you come to FractalU and the conference. That's a really good way for your ground crew as well.
Giving new meaning, perhaps, the term living the dream.
Absolutely, thank you. Living the dream. Yeah, 2 fans. So, have we got any more?
Another question is, do you have some system or literature for interpretation of dream characters and objects?
So sorry for laughing. Yes, I mean that will be included. However, this is not something that I am an expert in myself. Yes, I can certainly pass on material. However, I don't know. There must be other people who are very good with the Jungian, the psychotherapeutic side of dreams in that way as well.
Thank you. Laura asks, can we tune in at a certain time and day without Wi-Fi and with Therafy?
Mm-hmm. We do have, I don't know if Maurizio is here. We do have a Therafy practitioner. He's in Costa Rica. And part of our plans, research plans, is actually to be journeying regularly with the Therafy as well, because as we know, the Therafy enables intercommunication with trans-dimensional beings. We're very careful with what we do. So yes, I'd say technically it's possible. What do you reckon, Dan?
You know, Therafy is one maybe a bit artificial, but powerful and useful. The global meditations we did with it were maybe even a little bit too powerful sometimes. But I would stress that it isn't about needing a gadget either. It's a wonderful thing. But even the sunrise sunset thing and the equinox solstice is beautiful and powerful in embedding in longitudinal arrays together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Could we try a short lucid meditation here? Ajda asks.
I don't know. Is that Anya?
Ajda. Or...
Oh, sorry. Yes. I mean, yes, of course we could. Couldn't we? Everybody. I think it's everybody. If everyone goes, yes, of course we can do that, then obviously we can do it. So probably, you know, if you would like to join in, probably what we can do is that all right, Dan? Have we got time? Oh, it's only 8:06. Okay, so those are pod 1. I haven't looked through us all. So pod 1 and 2, those who are here, I absolutely respect their privacy. What we can do is sync up. First of all, pod 1. We can do that. You don't have to reveal who you are if you don't want to, but also if you want to share something as well, you know, anyone from pod 1 or 2, do feel. And yeah, so at the moment, what we're doing is we're going to focus on gratitude as a waveguide. How about that? Because, you know, the gratitude for us being able to be here at FractalU and all together, because collectively, you know, we are creating coherence, are we not? So first of all, if that's okay with pod 1, anybody from
Hi,
pod
Jen.
1 want to say? Yay.
Do you listen to me?
I can hear you.
So I love when Dan says that we are electrical fields that become intelligent, and he is doing a great job explaining us what that geometry works. I'm very interested in the geometry of the fields to understand how we become intelligent. So the work that you do with him, with your experience, and you seeing yourself the fields that we don't see, but obviously is all what it is it's wonderful. And your courage to work this at the right time, you know, and your discipline to be precise in something that is so important, to be close to pure principle, as Dan says, is wonderful, it's inspiring, and your work is literally evolutionary. So hopefully we can all together help you move forward this, because it's wonderful, your job, and I'm so happy to be part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nico.
Thank you, Nico. Okay. So we're focused on gratitude. We'll do a short, what we call the inner smile, in order to synchronize, and we start our journey every week with this. Is that all right, Pod 1? Well, I just take it that it's all right, Pod 1 and 2, and everyone who wants to join in. So this is a Taoist meditation in which we are starting to learn and starting to focus our attention inside to be able to open our inner eyes and open the eyes of the heart and the third eye as well. So if you just get comfortable, shut your eyes, and all we're going to do is smile. Smile with your eyes shut. I'll probably keep my own open to keep an eye on you all. And what you're doing is, the Taoist technique is in order to generate charge and to recharge the organs and the systems internally. And so smile into your heart and feel that gratitude of us, of being all together here. Take some good breaths. Remember to breathe. Breathe into your heart. Okay, Pod 1, we're coming into a sync now. There we go, very strong. You may feel tingles. My hair is very powerful as my hair standing up on end. So continue to focus on the wave guide of gratitude that we're all going to surf that long wave. Smiling into our hearts, and then occasionally open your eyes and look at all the other beautiful people on the screen. There's Daniel. And then shut your eyes again. Now, when we shut our outer eyes, it opens the inner eye, and I know that it puts us into wonderful alpha frequency resonance. Takes us out of our the external, what I call mundane reality. Anyone in Pod 1, anyone who would like to voice some impressions, please do, about what you're feeling. At the moment, we are holding a very stable sync, and it's not just Pod 1, it's all our other friends as well. Anyone from Pod 1 or 2 want to put some impressions in, please?
This is Maura.
Jen.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Maura.
ahead.
You go ahead.
I was just gonna say really quickly that I feel a lot of charge, a lot of energy. It's very powerful and very focused. Definitely feeling it and feeling like the density of having more people in the group.
Yes, and I'm feeling a beautiful conjugation of the wave energy, and I'm seeing it in my mind's eye as waves forming up in the ocean, very gently, and then lapping over. Yeah, a very thick, dense, and beautiful, liquidy feeling.
Thanks, Michelle.
Nice.
There's a slight the density of plasma, we're starting to identify different spins, which we might call density, and one of those we're calling honey plasma. Yes, so it's there's a sense of a sort of a delicious warmness, and slightly more viscous than water, a bit like runny honey, very golden, and this is what we call the honey plasma healing spin that we use very well. It is around us a lot, is it not? Odd 1 and 2. So bathe in the honey plasma and feel the gratitude. Okay, so keep bathing in it. Any more questions, Tufan, while we're bathing in the glow?
Sure. Brittany asks if we can strengthen, practice, and train to lucid dream with the team.
Can you? Yes, most certainly. We'll put up the subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Leave your emails, and we will send you a link to the Telegram group chat at the moment, and also those. Let's say we're getting a course together, so whereby we're bringing people on board, helping you to know, what you want to be. Basically, we have all sorts from all around the planet. We mostly work there's half men, half women. Those who are identifying that gender. And there's a lot of an incredible wholeness of and coherence of balance between the genders. So we have warriors and healers, bards, we have ground crew, those who want to be just really grounded and holding space in that way. We have the seers and navigators. So there's plenty to learn.
Bob Sean said, do you know any practical tips to achieve lucidity in dreams other than setting the attention before dreaming and looking at your hands in the dream? Remember that when you look at your hand in a dream, what you're doing is, doing the homunculus do loop is tightening, and so your aura is compressing. And so setting the intention and keeping the dream journal every day, everything that makes the focus more dense. I just remember when Jenny and I started this, actually, one of the things we knew was that the planet collectively needs the immune system of having lucid dreaming teams, which can eventually function as a kind of immune system for the planet in terms of interstellar parasites and many things, and tornado steerers. It's an important function.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I don't think I've used the word shaman very much, but obviously what we understand as shamanic qualities and capabilities are those that we are developing as well. So to be of use to our communities and collectively as well. So yes, as Dan's saying, dream journaling. I would suggest the first thing that you do is you ask yourself the question, why do I want to see? Why? And then what do I want to see? And you take those into your night dreaming, and those questions, by setting the intention and the focus of those questions, you will be woken up with the answers. Sit up, write them down immediately, and do that for at least 30 days, because we know that it takes 30 days for our brains to change our minds, literally. And it does mean that your life is going to change, because big dreams change lives. We start small and we work up in that way.
Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful.
We have some questions on the YouTube live stream. Maybe we can go over a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is a DMT trip the same as a lucid dream?
So, we think that DMT adds to the threshold of connectivity at the synapse. And so it kind of opens some doors. But if you rely on external chemistry, sometimes there are other issues like holes in the aura. So it's not really our expertise. My expertise is the external chemistry. And certainly there's a place for that, and it's real. But if you can achieve it naturally, obviously, it's probably more empowering.
Well, because it is, yes, because it is released naturally, is it not? And certainly during journey times, it is, I know that it is released. It's not something that we don't use external augmentation of any sort, either etheric or plant-based, mechanical, whatever. So no, I would say it's not the same.
Right. Can lucid dreaming lead to out-of-body experience if you want it, or is it necessary to stay in the dream?
I most definitely will trigger out of body responses and reactions. Yes, so part of what we're doing is with setting our intention and staying safe, being able to self-reference, to have the highest integrity, so that we don't end up with low spin, in astral low spin realms and entities, to keep your astral hygiene very, very high. But yeah, and yes, it will trigger out of body, what we call excorporeal excursion, EE. It will definitely trigger that. Yeah.
And we think that even Monroe Institute, they were using golden ratio cascades in the brainwave, and that implosion in part can be that tornado that enables the tornado to move out of the body. And so recognizing that it's the densification that allows something coherent enough that the tornado can move outside your head. And then there's a whole series of hygiene issues around that, like don't try to do it in an aluminum box.
Or after you've been drinking alcohol, particularly, or taking any sort of drugs or medication, pharmaceutical.
Right.
So.
Okay, this question comes to Dan, to one of Dan's comments in the first half of this lecture. Is the fractal overlay tied together via the energy array?
The energy array?
Yes, I think you were referring to the fractal overlay of the galaxy and the planet and the energy grid, I believe.
Yes. So what we're saying is that as Bearden proved, the longitudinal EMF is what gravity waves are made of. So when you spectrum analyze and you find lower and lower frequencies present, you're finding longer wave and literally bigger maps. And it is embedding, and it is an array on a side, an array. But this is more than a metaphor. It will show up in a spectrum analysis. And the fractality perfected is what makes density increase, and that's what increases the leverage to steer bigger tornadoes. So these are more than metaphors. This is serious electrical engineering available by spectrum analysis. We know what the next dimension is. It's not subjective.
We're definitely going to have lots of fun at the conference, are we not? When toys come together with the Lucid Dreaming team.
Yes, we do some brainwave work.
We're going to have fun.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay. What could one do if they have a trust issue, but they would want to join the Lucid Dream pod?
Well, thanks for being open with it. I think that's what the first step is sharing that. If someone has trust issues, I think that's a very intimate thing to share. So thank you for sharing it. And of course, we respect privacy. We work with it as best we can.
And
if
when
you
we
think about it, everyone has trust issues to do with intimacy, which is stating our boundaries and then being compassionate towards others as well.
That's why we need to kind of fall in love with each other first, or at least cry for each other. Aircrete Harry just raised his hand.
Hi, I just wanted to share some experiences I had, some tips that I feel would help a lot of people to have these experiences. I started in 2013 having out-of-body experiences after reading Robert Monroe's books. And since then, I practiced almost every day, having out of body experiences. But what I found was almost every time I did not leave my body, I would have a lucid dream. And they were so incredible, so exciting to completely control my dreams. And they were really exciting. So, some of the tips I wanted to share that I went through, these are experiences that I went through. And one of them is juicing. When I started a juice fast, the energy in my body increased massively. And this began helping me with lucid dreams and astral projecting, out of body experience. So, there's something to consider is a juice fast. Fasting is very good spiritually, but I prefer juice fast because I'm still getting all my nourishments. When it comes to leaving body or lucid dreaming or that realm, what I found was the key tool to use is love. Uh, you didn't have to worry about working on not fearing anything if you just worked on love. So if you worked on changing every bad thought you might have to a positive, loving thought as a start to the practice, this helps massively because I didn't have any guidance when I was playing around the astral realm. So I ran into entities that were very scary and very real. But once I learned to love them, I had no more problems with these entities. And so love is a key, very key. And if you could practice remembering the thought of love, the feeling of love, and trying to hold that for as long as you can, it's a great practice because you'll be resonating that. And another tip I want to give is for me, Drunvalo Melchizedek's Awakening the Illuminated Heart meditation was a very powerful meditation. And it was after this, learning this meditation, that I began seeing with my third eye. I don't always see, but at least 5 times I've seen with my third eye. And it's amazing to experience these things. So I just wanted to share those because I really believe in lucid dreaming and out of body experience. I feel everyone should experience it at least once to make you realize how we are all spiritually all connected and we were just one, we're just brothers and sisters in this world. And so I'm a big believer in this. And also binaural beats, Flame and Sound has binaural beats. Monroe had the binaural beats, another very important tool for having these
Yeah,
experiences.
pure sound implosion. Harry, you're wonderful. Perfect. What do you think, Jenny? I thought that was great.
Thanks, Harry. Shall we wrap up now? Have we got more questions? So it's 8:25. For me it's 8:25. How are we doing?
We have cleared all questions. We are good to go.
It's a happily ever after.
Yes.
It's wonderful. So we're just finishing up, as in, imagine yourself coming back into your heart and waving everybody hello and goodbye, and then we'll all be regrounded. And make sure, keep clearing, keep grounding, drink lots of water. Happy to journey with you all. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Jenny. This has been magical. Thank you, everyone. It really felt like community today. We had such fun.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. You. Blessings and blessings.
Blessings.
Bye, everyone.
Blessings, everyone.
Love everyone.
Lovely
See you in the dream.
Harry says it's about love. I think he's right. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.